Okay, this is a follow-up on some stuff that I've been talking about. Now, this is a column from ancient Greece, Athens, 5th century BC, and this one in particular, there's there's many different kinds of columns, but this one in particular, it's got pi in it, and I'll show you in a moment. I'll compare this to something else. Now, if you see this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's got the 7 in there, yeah? And these ones here, that's got 11, and it's got the two things below it, which is kind of indicative of the radius, you might say, of the 22. And this here, at the top of this column, you'll notice the two circles, and it's got this little a bow in there. And I'm going to go back to my geometry to show you the similarities. Okay, here is the column and those two circles, and there is the bow. And as I had pointed out to you, that it has the 7 and the 11 radius, and it showed you the two circles below it, showing you that the 11 and the 11, which is a 22. So that's that. I mean, this is quite distinctive from all the other columns. This is like the column of pi. That's the one I was referring to when I said the famous, Greek column. But interestingly enough, it's got all the kind of it's symbolic of that geometry, and it's got the math encoded in the floral design. The 7 and the 11, and the 11 with the 2 underneath is the 22. 7, 22. Okay, so I've made a few notes here, and I've just gone over the Greek 5th century BC Athens and the column and how it has pi in the column. I mean, it is a symbolic column, you might say, but it is symbolic of pi. And the math that I just showed you within that column is there. It's showing you, it's talking about pi. That's not something they just randomly, plucked out of the artist's mind or something like that. Even though it is decorative, it is purposefully done, and it shows the 7, 11, 22. And of course, it showed you the very top of that column where it had the two circles that I had shown, and with the bow in there as well. So it is very, in my opinion, I mean, it's quite obvious to me, but it is purposefully done to show pi. Here's some other kind of neat stuff. The 7 over 22 as a fraction as we know it, if you times that by 2, you get 14 over 44, and you keep doubling that till you get to 448 over 1408. The fraction constant here remains the same. It's still pi. These all equal 3.142, etc. But what's interesting is when you double these exactly at 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you get to this point, and if you take a numerology thing where you break it down into the base number, it gives you a fraction of 7 over 4, which is exactly what that is there. It's 7, and the 2 and the 2 is a 4, in like the numerology kind of math, yeah? And if this thing will want to focus one of these days. So right at the 7th, in the doubling of that fraction, we get to that, and that once again gives us a 7 over 4, which is 0.5714285714. And if you take that number and divide that into pi, the 0.5714 into 3.142, etc., it gives you exactly 5.5. And 5.5 just happens to be 5.5 inches, which is a 22 diameter. And this is something else I did from the reverse engineering on my blog that I mentioned before. And when you take the angle of 7 into 360, which is 51.42, etc., that angle there, and right at 5.5 inches, right at the 22 on each side, you get a nice whole number. Right at 22 units or 5.5 inches, you get another whole number of 19 as that side of that triangle. Right? So we're taking 7 into 360, and the units measured on the sides are exactly 22, 22, and 19. In this case, this is the base. I mean, it depends how you rotate this triangle, but there's a consistency of the whole numbers here. And of course, the 19 units is 4.57 inches. But in terms of its units, it's a whole number, and it's a 19. So at that angle, right at 22 units, you get a perfect 19 at the base. And so I'm going to go back to my work that I did almost 2 years ago now, and I'm going to pause just briefly. It's hard to see here. I apologize for that. It was a kind of a poor picture I took, but right there, that's 5.5. That's the angle of 7. That's 5.5. That's 22 units. 22 units. That's 19 units. And this is something that I did in my attempt at reverse engineering almost 2 years ago. So that's just very interesting how the 5.5, in terms of this fractional sequence that came about, and of course it is the 5.5, as we know, gives us a 22 diameter, and here is another consistency of this 5.5 inch, which is exactly 22 units. Okay, so I've covered that. It's just some neat stuff here I wanted to throw in there. Like I said, this is a follow-up video. And these are some of the other interesting ones that I have found on a 22 diameter. So if your compass, 11 degrees, 30-point circle, 22 degrees, 15-point circle, 33 degrees, 10-point circle, 36 degrees, 9-point circle, 47 degrees, 7-point circle, 54 degrees, 6-point circle, 80 degrees, 4-point circle. Then there was a couple of extras in here that I found after. 27 degrees, 12-point circle, 41 degrees, 8-point circle. And I'm going to walk you through how I did some of this stuff. Okay, I'll give you the reading here first. To find 13 points in a 22 diameter, first I had to find 13 points in a 24 diameter, which is 27.69 degrees, which I used my measurement from the magic circle template. That's how I originally found that. You know, I did I found out what it was afterwards, the 27.69, but originally I found it from a compass measurement using my magic circle template. Because what I wanted to do is I was saying, okay, here's another one. Here's the number 13. Where is the 13 points on the 22 diameter, right? That's the other question I had. So then I drew both a 22 diameter and a 24 diameter, both circles together, and then found the 13 point on a 22. You know, that's how I found it. And which is 25.74, etc. degrees. I mean, very interesting number, because as we know, 25.714 degrees gives us a 14-point circle on a 24 diameter. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. And one more thing, and it was just an extra here, which doesn't have anything to do with this, but a 44 degrees on an 18 diameter gives you 6 points, because I couldn't find 44 on a 24 diameter, nor could I find anything significant on a 22 diameter with 44 degrees. But I did find something for 44 degrees, and it happens to work on an 18 diameter and gives us a 6-point circle. And lastly here, I'm going to show you how I found 45 degrees, 8-point circle, from the template. Once again, I'm going to pause and be right back. So there's the template again. And this is what started this whole process here, was when I found this. Right, when you get your 6 points, and then the cross, and there was that measurement, the 13 point on a 24 diameter circle is 27.69, etc. degrees. So I used this measurement on in this format here. You know, first I found that measurement on the 24 diameter from that template, and then I drew a line from the center to that measurement, and that gave me the point on the 22 diameter circle. And then I measured that with the compass, and I found that it was 25.714, etc. degrees, which gives us a 14-point circle on a 24 diameter. So, you know, that's really neat. And And that whole process started with the the reverse engineering of pi. Like I said before, I had tried that before, and now I've found more stuff. But this whole process here, it started with that template where I discovered new things, or as I like to say, I had rediscovered new things. And it's a system of you're using your compass as a measuring tool, similar to a caliper. You're actually using your compass, right, as a measurement. It is what that is. And so when I got to this thing here, when I drew that out and I went through that method, right, to find the 13 point on a 22, which gave me a very significant, number of degrees, that got me thinking. I was like, it would be very handy and quite useful to have two sets, two protractors. I'm kind of making, you might even say, a proposal to to Stadler here. This is a this is a protractor that works, which is a 6-inch protractor, essentially. That's a 24 diameter protractor. I'm actually making a proposal to them and saying, hey guys, make two. For people who want to do, who are interested in this other kind of geometry, the geometry of pi. I think it would be, really cool for someone to manufacture, to make a 22 diameter protractor, which is 5.5 inches. And that would be a pi protractor. So you would have two. You would have a set of protractors. A 6-inch protractor and a 5.5, a protractor for pi. I think that would be, anyways, I thought that was a really cool idea. And so this, I think I'm getting close to the end of this, the follow-up to this kind of series here. Before I got too ahead of myself, I thought I'd do a bit of a follow-up, so I can walk you through some of the steps that I've taken, and also talk about some of the other finds that I've made, and basically it was just a walkthrough of all the ideas I've had, and some of the stuff that I'd done previously before, and how that it ties into all this stuff. And and there was one last thing. In this template, when you go from this point here to that point, that compass measurement gives you 45 degrees, which gives you an 8-point circle. So regardless of the diameter of your circle, if you use this template design, you get your 6 hexagonal points and the cross, you'll get that intersection. That one there, of course, is one of the points from the hexagon, and that one there is where the cross and the hexagon intersect. So if you do that, if you scribe that pattern on any size circle, and then you go from that point to that point, it'll give you the 45 degrees. Because that's something else that I had a hard time doing on trying to find an 8-point circle on 22 diameter. On this inside one here, and that's one method that I found, how to get 45 degrees and how to get. Pretending you didn't have the graph paper, right? And then, of course, it's easy on graph paper. It's like, oh, there's the center, and then there's your 45, dummy. Yeah. Well, that's easy because I have graph paper. But if I didn't have graph paper, that's how you can do it on any size circle. Following that template, you can find 8 points on any size circle. And I think I covered everything. Which was the very last note I made here, because I just wanted to share that too. It's like, that template also gives you is a way to find 8 points or 40 the 45 degrees on any size circle. So was there, because I found the 4 point, which was a nice round number, 80 degrees. And then I tried, tinkering around, with the compass. I was like, okay, well, where's the 8 point? It's somewhere between here. It's somewhere between the 36 and the 47. And it was like some kind of weird number, weird decimal places. And it was just, I found it just to be too difficult. Which I ended up finding, and it's so close to 41 degrees that I'm not sure if it's exactly 41 or if it's like, 41 in some kind of decimals or something like that. But anyways, there is another way to do it, and that's how you do it. That template will give you it'll show you how to find, that method will show you how to find 8 points on any size circle. And I think that concludes this follow-up.